Full name, Winston Robert Duff Tay. Born and bred in Ystrad. I was actually born about 5 or 6 miles up the road and moved here when I was 1 year old. So I was the youngest of 7 children in a small little cottage here. This was in the early 50s, mid-1950s. And then a few years later, that's when my mother actually started the shop. Everybody virtually from up here came back and forth to the shop. I've seen people's children, now their grandchildren, come as customers to the shop. I've never been married. I've had several long-term romances. I was with a girl from Pontypridd. She came back then after mother passed, but she virtually living here then. She actually died in this house here in 2011. We'd been together 13, 14 years. When I started in the 90s looking after my mother here, over the years and my stepfather went, my brothers married and moved on, so it was myself, my mother and Chris Torrance. I used to sell stamps in the shop here. It's virtually dried up since Chris has gone because he was a prolific letter writer. He'd be up twice a week. He'd come to the shop, I'd come in here, make a cup of tea. He was only one that mother allowed to. He'd serve himself, put the money in the till, and he'd come in then and have a cup of tea. Chris was always coming up for Christmas dinner. All the time, right from the beginning. He'd want to see Top of the Pops. He loved music, all kinds of music, but no television, so he'd never actually seen the performers. I was never fussy on rap music, so when rap music would come on, Top of the Pops thing, I'd come out to wash the dishes or something, and then call it rotten rubbish and everything. But I didn't realise years later, that's all rap is poetry. Chris had told me about poetry, but I'd never actually heard one. The first one I heard was in his funeral in the crematorium. He was there and the music kind of started silence and this voice started reading poetry and I didn't recognise Chris's voice.
Catmint, rosemary and silverweed, his grave goods stowed about him. White yarrow throwing back electric blue at dusk, the beautiful daughters of Vaynor, weaving him a shirt of nettle. His body is gone to the earth, and his soul to the stars. And lifting above the treetops on conine wings, watching his body dwindling, his soul lifting above the land. With an easy grace, overseeing God-scattered chines and hamlets, glistening in silvery light, snow streaks on the higher hills feel lighter and brighter.
A
Some of the stuff in there now makes sense to me. Just wish I'd read more before he went. I've lived here all my life, and he's actually pointed things out to me which I had seen millions of times but never took notice of. He probably was like an older brother to me. So I'll be eternally grateful to Chris for that.
It's